Here we are, ladies and gentlemen, Herogasm. Abandon all hope, ye who enter here. Season 3 of The Boys has brought us probably the best episode of the series, Herogasm, based loosely in part by the first standalone miniseries of The Boys comic series, also titled Herogasm. Now, I am not going to lie to you, the story of Herogasm in the comics isn't great. It reads like something a 14-year-old would write. So I am really glad to see that the whole center focus of the episode wasn't this minor event. There was so much other stuff going on, and it really turned out to be one of the bright shining stars in the series. That being said, I am going to edit a lot, and whatever I need to edit out to blur for images or dialogue, I'm going to do, because I don't want to get demonetized. But first, we want to thank the sponsor of today's video, Displate. Displate is all about collecting and presenting your passions. Displate offers both branded and independent artistic designs printed onto metal for a sleek-looking piece of modern artwork. Displate is a great alternative to paper posters or artwork because it's strong and durable, and they're partnered with licensed brands like Marvel, DC, and Star Wars. Check out a few of the Displates that I selected for my home. I mean, these are absolutely awesome, and installation was a breeze. They included a super simple magnetic mounting system, and I hung this Displate above my son Miles's bed in like maybe a minute. The awesome thing about this is it means you can move these around super easily without creating a bunch of mess or things that you have to patch and paint later. They also have complete collections of artwork that all work together for a really cool tailored look. Look at this Marvel Silver Age or Retro Spider-Man. They look awesome. With over 1 million options to choose from, there's something for everybody no matter what your fandom is. Follow the link on the screen now to check out my profile as well as receive a discount for our subscribers. You'll receive 25% off your first 2 Displates and 29% off 3 or more. Thanks again to Displate, and now back to the video. Today's video is on Herogasm. Herogasm began in, shockingly, Herogasm number 1, written by Garth Ennis and drawn by John McCree. The story spans 6 issues and takes place between issues 30 and 31 of the main series. For those of you who are familiar with the comics or our videos on the series, you will undoubtedly recognize issue 31 as the beginning of the boys' conflict with the team Payback. Herogasm is essentially Garth Ennis poking fun at giant crossover events in comics. The goal was not to make fun of those events, after all Garth worked for many of these publishers at some point in his career, but instead to do what The Boys does so well, show a funhouse mirror version of an event comic through the lens of The Boys' world. What is unique about Herogasm is, as a story, while most of the Boys series is focused on primarily The Boys, Herogasm spends the majority of its time focused on actual soups. The boys are there for the ride, but they don't really impact much of the general story taking place until almost the end of the miniseries, when some pretty massive bombshells go off. And unlike most of our complete history videos, I'm not going to run through the entire 6-issue miniseries. Instead, I'm going to focus on the key elements of the story and the big things that we learn. The first issue of the miniseries sets up Herogasm by having Homelander address the public, saying that a number of superheroes in the world must put aside their differences and work together to stop the looming threat of an intergalactic war with a powerful alien race. Homelander and hundreds of other superheroes fly off to face this looming threat, but when we next see them, they are landing on a tropical resort for the event Herogasm. Herogasm is an all-expenses-paid tropical resort party where essentially there are no rules or law enforcement. Anything goes, and I do mean anything. Here, the Soups spend the weekend going absolutely bananas. Drug use, sex, and illegal activities are all rampant. Vought pays for everything, including hundreds of escorts and prostitutes, all paid handsomely to essentially do whatever horrible and vile things the Soups can dream up. At least one superhero actually dies during the party. I am not going to sit here in the video and outline every single illegal activity that goes on during this series. Frankly, at this point of reading the series, it all seemed to blend together as Ennis essentially pushed the boundaries of what he could actually put into a comic and still publish. I mean, honestly, some of this stuff is mega dark. However, the main plot of Herogasm focuses on setting up the next few chapters of the Boys' main series. The first season of the show, along with issue 21 of the series, featured probably the most memorable scene in the series, the infamous airplane scene where the Seven attempted to stop planes being hijacked during 9/11. The massive bumbling catastrophe that ensued ended up as the worst failure of the Seven as heroes, and all but tanked the prospect of Vought's superheroes being involved in national and global defense. Herogasm gives quite a bit of additional information around what happened that led to this horrific event. Butcher and the rest of the boys end up capturing a Secret Service agent assigned to watch Victor Newman, also known as Vic the Veep, the Vice President of the United States under President Dakota Bob Schaefer. Victor was able to attend Herogasm as a courtesy by Vought America, but keep in mind that the character in the comics is extremely limited in his mental faculties, which is something I don't like saying, but that is how he's written. Victor is a complete and utter puppet controlled by Vought. He was planted as Bob Schaefer's running mate despite Bob not wanting him at all, and they plan to have him become the President of the United States by killing Bob Schaefer. It's revealed by the Secret Service agent that Vic the Veep was in the room with the president as he was attempting to handle the 9/11 attacks. Initially, Dakota Bob made the insanely difficult judgment call to have a fighter jet shoot down the hijacked plane heading into New York City. However, during the chaos when no one was paying attention, Victor hit the president in the head with a fire extinguisher and assumed command. Nick, that's treason. You can't do that. You can't hit the president with a fire extinguisher. Nobody actually saw the event. Everybody was busy staring at the monitors associated with tracking the plane and military activity. Whenever anybody turned around, the damage was done and Victor was in command. Vic recites commands that he was made to memorize, and he ordered NORAD to stand down, the fighter jets were called off, and he allowed the Seven to step in to attempt to stop the hijacking. What resulted was infamous. The Seven come to the rescue, they fail miserably, and Homelander, losing his composure, causes way more harm than help. Additionally, the 7-member Marathon was killed, and the plane itself crashed into the Brooklyn Bridge, killing over 1,000 people. The cover-up required was tremendous, and once the boys got their hands on the information, everything got just a little bit crazier. Additionally, Herogasm features the introduction of Soldier Boy, who's shown having sex with Homelander. Soldier Boy naively does this thinking it will help him get into the Seven, believing that Homelander will pull the necessary strings. However, Homelander has no intention of helping Soldier Boy and remands him back to service with Payback. Obviously, seeing how much different Soldier Boy is in the show than in the comics, this scene would not make any sense whatsoever within the boys' cinematic universe, so don't worry about it, but it is a very important scene for the comic books. The series is also infamous for a particular scene between Huey and Black Noir, and while the various members of the boys are doing recon on the island, Huey goes down into the sewers, all along being tailed, unbeknownst to him, by Black Noir. Black Noir corners Huey in the sewers and assaults him, something he struggles with throughout the rest of the story and series, and something that leads to a pretty shocking revelation about Black Noir later in the series, which if you've seen our video on him already, you probably already know. The other major event that takes place during Herogasm is called the Soupies, an award show for superheroes where they essentially honor themselves. It's a giant joke to all of the tenured superheroes, but Homelander is quite insistent that everybody goes. During the awards ceremony, Homelander wins Hero of the Year as he normally does, and starts to give a speech to a crowd of soups. His speech is cut short by the arrival of Vought corporates Stillwell, who was supposed to be distracted by a higher-end escort that Homelander paid to keep him away from the awards ceremony. While Homelander's speech is quite cryptic, the gist is that he's about to ask the soup community to stand up to Vought and take over the country. However, the reemergence of Stillwell causes Homelander to panic and stop the call to arms. This panic and fear shows just how much control Vought has over the most powerful being on the planet. And last but certainly not least, this event also features Payback getting the orders to go after the boys, which they do in the very next issue of the main series of the boys as we discussed earlier. And that is about it for the comic book history of the event Herogasm. I hope you learned a lot, and if you did, consider liking and subscribing this video, and also share it with your friends. It really helps us improve our reach. This has been Nick with Key Issues, thanking you for watching again, and remember the motto: Herogasm over everything.